And welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to episode 40 of Young Justice, Runaways. We begin this episode at Taos on May 13th, where we see Virgil Hawkins is being tested on his electric-based superpowers by Dr. David Wilcox at the Star Labs facility there. Tye Longshadow, Asami Koizumi, and Neutron are also watching Virgil's testing. Eventually, Virgil grows tired of all the testing, saying that they've been doing this for about 5 hours, and he wants a break. So Dr. David Wilcox allows a 20-minute break. Virgil, Tye, Asami, and Neutron are all heading to the cafeteria, and they go down the hallway where Eduardo Dorado Jr.'s office is, and they overhear him having an argument with his son, Eduardo Dorado Jr. Ed Jr. tells his dad that he and the others are growing tired of all the testing, and Ed Sr. responds that he believes that the metagene is, I believe he says, opportunistic, mentioning that he thinks it's no coincidence that he, Ed Sr., had been working on Zeta Beam technology, and Ed Jr. happens to acquire teleportation powers when his metagene is activated. Ed Jr. responds he doesn't care, he just wants a cure, and Ed Sr. responds that Ed Sr. says that Ed Jr. only has himself to blame for running away from Argentina. Ed Jr. responds that he ran away because he wanted to be with his dad, but now he considers that to be a mistake, and he storms out of his dad's office. And he's not too bothered that the others overheard the argument, even though Neutron tries to pretend they didn't. Now, Virgil, Tye, and Ed Jr. all agree that they're growing tired of all the testing at Star Labs facility. They even go as far as to say that they think it's as bad as when they were captured by the Reach. Neutron disagrees with this, and Asami only speaks Japanese, and there's no subtitles, so viewers unfamiliar with the Japanese language don't really have an idea on how Asami feels about all of this. But in regards to Virgil, Tye, and Ed Jr., they all agree that they want to escape from Star Labs. Later on, we see that the Justice League have sent in several crates to this particular Star Labs facility through Zeta Beam technology. It turns out the crates contain parts of Amazo, which were salvaged from the Hall of Justice after it was demolished in the episode Cornered. Later on still, Dr. David Wilcox calls it a day with the testing and says that they will begin the next day. After the doctor has left, Virgil, Ed Jr., Tye, and Asami all plan to leave Star Labs, this particular facility of Star Labs, but Neutron activates the alarm, wanting to prevent them from escaping, because Neutron believes that they're only at Star Labs for the... Neutron thinks that they should stay at Star Labs because he thinks it's for their own protection and for the protection of everyone else on the planet if their powers become too uncontrollable. So Neutron activates the alarm, and the other four try to escape even with this alarm going on. Ed Jr. can't teleport them out because he says that he can't teleport with someone else, and that his teleportation powers are, he can only teleport to areas that he can see, is what he says. And Tye admits he has no control over his powers, which are, he can form an astral projection which surrounds him and can grow in size. You could say that Tye is like the core of the astral projection, essentially. So, because Virgil admits he didn't really think of a plan to escape, and Soon, some of the guards of the Star Labs facility arrive, trying to convince them that they should stay for their own good, but Ed Jr. teleports a bit to confuse them or distract them, and we see Asami's powers are chi manipulation, and she uses the chi manipulation to like a projectile. She uses it to launch herself at the guards to continue the distraction or to knock them out. Suddenly, though, the power goes out at the Star Labs facility, which means the alarm is gone and the lockdown that was also established is no longer in effect. So they can escape the Star Labs facility, which they do. In El Paso, Nightwing calls Blue Beetle, telling him to go to the Runaways and convince them that they're at their safe, or that the Star Labs facility is the safest place for them until the Reach have been defeated. Blue Beetle is hesitant because one of the Runaways is his friend Tye Longshadow, but Nightwing responds that Tye being friends with Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle's true identity, may be what will allow Blue Beetle to convince them to stay at the Star Labs facility. So Blue Beetle eventually agrees to Nightwing's instructions and heads off to go to the Runaways. The Runaways end up at a bus depot, and Virgil had called his parents to request that they wire them some money so they can get some bus tickets to go to Dakota City, where Virgil is from, hoping that they can stay there in the meantime. And Ed Jr. wonders how that'll find a cure for them, but Virgil admits he doesn't know, but he also admits that he likes his superpowers. Soon enough, though, Dr. David Wilcox and several Star Labs guards find them at the bus depot. And, I should mention this, Tye Longshadow falls asleep during this, so while he's sleeping, his powers activate the giant astral projection that forms around him. And while he's asleep, so he's not aware of this happening, so the projection ends up breaking through the roof of the bus depot and manages to grab hold of, it grabs Virgil, Ed Jr., and Asami, and the projection walks off while, again, Tye is still asleep while this is happening. Blue Beetle does arrive, but he tries to convince Dr. David Wilcox that he'll get the Runaways, so Blue Beetle follows after them. And eventually when they're in a isolated area, or they're at an area where no one's around, the astral projection vanishes, and Tye wakes up, and he's surprised to see that it happened again while he was asleep. He thought he was having a dream, but it turns out it was no dream he was having. And then Blue Beetle arrives, and Blue Beetle then reveals his true identity as Jaime Reyes, and Tye is surprised to find out that his friend is Blue Beetle. And Blue Beetle shows them the Scarab and explains how the Scarab was a device created by the Reach, saying that he understands what it feels like to be in their position. And Blue Beetle also tries to persuade them against running around out of the Star Labs facility, because what if the Reach capture them again? And while Virgil mentions that he was hoping they can go back to his house in Dakota City, Blue Beetle points out that would be putting Virgil's parents in danger as well, and Virgil doesn't know what to do about it, because they don't want to go back to the Star Labs facility. Blue Beetle finally says that maybe they can go see Green Beetle, thinking that maybe Green Beetle can help them, just as he helped Blue Beetle in the previous episode. Back at the Star Labs facility, Eduardo Dorado Jr. is upset that Dr. David Wilcox just left Blue Beetle to take care of finding the Runaways. But they're soon interrupted when someone invades the facility, and that someone is Red Volcano, who apparently is demanding he's demanding to know where the Amazo parts are. While Blue Beetle is taking the Runaways to Green Beetle, he soon receives another call from Nightwing, who tells him about Red Volcano attacking the Star Labs facility there. And Blue Beetle is the hero that's the closest to the Star Labs facility. And Red Volcano destroyed the Zeta tube that's at the facility. So Blue Beetle is the only hero that can get to the facility in time to deal with Red Volcano. And he says that, finding the Runaways can wait until after Red Volcano has been dealt with, because Blue Beetle doesn't tell Nightwing that he already found the Runaways. So, and the Runaways did overhear the conversation. Blue Beetle's phone was at max volume. So Blue Beetle tells him to just hold still and he'll go take care of Red Volcano before they continue to go to Green Beetle. But hearing that his father is in danger, Ed Jr. says he wants to go to follow Blue Beetle so he can help his dad. And Virgil is very understanding about this, saying that he would want to protect his parents too. So the Runaways do end up going to the Star Labs facility with Blue Beetle. And they do see Blue Beetle fighting Red Volcano. But they notice that Blue Beetle is quite aggressive while he's fighting Red Volcano. He's trying to stop Red Volcano with two sonic cannons, but the sonic cannons are also aimed at the Star Labs facility itself, which means that, and there are still innocent people within the facility, which means while Red Volcano might be attacked by the sonic cannons, the innocent bystanders at the facility are also going to be caught in the crossfire, so to speak. So while that's happening, so the Runaways do go into the facility to rescue everyone who's in there so that they don't have to worry about their well-being. And there is also a point where Red Volcano tries to hold the Runaways captive in order to get Blue Beetle to surrender so that their lives will be spared. But Blue Beetle is still willing to fight Red Volcano, and Ed Jr. is quite upset that Tye's friend was willing to sacrifice them. And Tye doesn't understand why Jaime is acting this way. Eventually, Blue Beetle manages to defeat Red Volcano, and he's rather aggressively trying to get the Runaways to follow him to Green Beetle. But then the press arrives, as well as firefighters, and the press start to question Blue Beetle and interview him. And while he's distracted, the Runaways take this opportunity to sneak away. Later on, it's now May 14th, and the scene takes us to a Taos pueblo, and we see Blue Beetle and Green Beetle are talking to each other. Blue Beetle admits that he overplayed his hand with regards to the Runaways, thinking he should have just contacted Green Beetle when he found them. But Green Beetle responds that Blue Beetle was just trying to win their trust, which is a valid strategy. And then we soon find out, though, that Black Beetle is there too. It turns out Green Beetle actually isn't free of his scarab's control as he claimed. And in the previous episode, Green Beetle actually rebooted Blue Beetle's scarab. So now the scarab is now under the Reach's control, which means Jaime Reyes is no longer in control of himself. So yeah, Blue Beetle and Green Beetle are under the Reach's control. And Green Beetle mentions that Red Volcano's arrival was actually a happy coincidence because it builds Blue Beetle's credibility as a hero, and Black Beetle points out that this will help the Reach control Earth and its inhabitants. The Runaways end up back at the bus depot they were at earlier. Virgil says that they wouldn't think to look for them there again. And then Lex Luthor and Mercy Graves arrive. But before they reveal themselves to the Runaways, when they're out of hearing distance, Lex Luthor admits to Mercy that sending Red Volcano to the Star Labs facility worked out really well. So now he's going to try and seal the deal, as he puts it. So now Lex Luthor and Mercy reveal themselves to the Runaways, and they recognize Lex Luthor, and Lex responds that he's been watching them for some time now, and he reveals he was the one who activated the power out at the Star Labs facility so they could escape. And he's the one who arranged for the press to arrive after Red Volcano was defeated so that Blue Beetle will be distracted so they could sneak away. And he does confirm that Blue Beetle is now under the control of the Reach. But they respond that Lex Luthor helped to create the beverage that the Reach have made. Lex Luthor admits this, but he also says he believes the Reach are using him for their own purposes. And he says that he wants to provide the Runaways with the resources so that they can, so that they have the ability to choose their own destiny, or to choose their own destiny, choose what they want to do with their lives, and that's how we end the episode. So this episode does focus on the teenagers who were captured by the Reach. And yep, you can tell, or like I mentioned before, Tye Longshadow was based on the Super Friends character Apache Chief, and Eduardo Dorado Jr. is based off of the Super Friends character El Dorado, and Asami Koizumi, she's based off of the character Samurai from Super Friends, although she's female while Samurai is male, and she has chi manipulation as her ability, whereas Samurai had wind-based powers. Some fans suspect that Asami might also be a reference to another character, someone called Crazy Shy Lolita Canary. That's I only just recently heard of this character, so I'm not entirely sure if Asami is also based on that character like Samurai. I'm not entirely sure, so that's something I will have to look a little more into, and yeah, I'll see about that. And as for Virgil Hawkins, he's actually Virgil Hawkins is the civilian name of the character Static, who most people might recognize. Well, he was created for the Milestone comics, which eventually became part of the DC comics. But yeah, Static, most people might also recognize him from the show Static Shock, which was part of the DC animated universe. And yeah, it was pretty cool that they introduced all those characters, they brought in Static, and they reinterpreted characters from Super Friends for the new show Young Justice, and their powers are slightly different, but it was cool to see them reference those particular characters. And we do find out that Green Beetle is indeed under the control of the Reach. So props to those who figured that Green Beetle was trying to win over Blue Beetle's trust as a way to get his Scarab to reboot Blue Beetle's Scarab. So it turned out Blue Beetle fell victim to a self-fulfilling prophecy. The other notable part about this episode was that Red Volcano returned, and that was quite the surprise because Red Volcano was eliminated at the end of the episode Humanity. And Nightwing didn't seem too surprised either to hear Red Volcano returned. Then again, I suppose it's possible that Red Volcano may have been rebuilt sometime during the 5-year time skip, but a definite answer has not actually been set at the moment. And otherwise,